Hello everyone, it's Annette Green here, working in my Elizabeth Craft Designs Vintage Black Planner in my weekly series. This is my second one because the first one is full. I am working through my 2023, making one page per week. And if you wanted to go back and see any videos that I have done, I have an entire playlist of every single week saved there with all kinds of tips and techniques as I go through each week. So we are starting here today on week 34. I have a plan and let's just get right to it. Okay, so my week has been all about my brand new second release with Elizabeth Craft Designs. It is called Splendid Season in the Everyday Elements line for Elizabeth Crafts. And if you missed it, I did do a Facebook Live that is saved now and you can watch it on the replay. It shows the entire collection, tons of beautiful samples from my team, and currently it is only being sold in scrapbook stores, but shortly it will be available on the Elizabeth Craft Designs website. So when that happens and I'm able to give you those 10% off discount codes, that will be updated in the description below. But for now, just check with your local scrapbook store because they should have them in. Okay, like I said, I do have somewhat of a plan this time because I know it's about my release. I want to use some of my release, of course, and then I want to use some new stuff from Esther in the Planner Essentials line. So I grabbed one of the newer ones. It's number 2056, tab 5 with photo slider set. So I wanted to use a few more things in this set that are really fun that I had not tried out yet, and that is like this film strip die and this little slider thing that you can slide it in and out of. Wanted to try that out, and then of course I'm going to use all these letters, and Esther has cleverly come up with some words but also given us the rest of the alphabet, so we have the entire alphabet to work with. So I'm thinking of having like new release spelled out with those letters, and then to try out that die. So this is kind of how it works, right? So it's a film strip with this circle designed with these slits that you can slide this up and down. Now I am finding as I'm actually cutting it out that there are a few little things I need to share with you to make that work well. And I am going to be putting photos in all these places, so this is getting very thick very quickly. What I did here was I cut out the film strip in black, and of course you can't stop there because if you want to put photos in there you have to have something behind it. So I've just got some craft cardstock back there, and as you can see I have inserted it into the circle thing that I just showed you. Now I did double this up because as you can see these little joints right here, they're very, very close and fairly weak by the time you are putting something that's double thick into them. So I'm not sure that I'll be able to rely on this working for a very long time in my planner if somebody were to, you know, work this up and down like this. So just know that. And I also think that I'm going to put like a black circle back there just to kind of help reinforce that even more, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So as you can see here, I have my photos picked out. It's really just a picture of each one of my die sets in the new release, and then I have pictures of my stamp sets, the 3 over here. So I have a little plan there. I want to put these in the film strip, and then I'm just going to showcase the stamp sets a little bit separately. Okay, and everyone asks, so I will tell you, I use a Canon Pixma printer, the TR8620 Canon printer. Excellent, and I do use HP Advanced Photo Paper. I do have a video I will link below on how I get my photos sized down this small and all on a sheet. What I've done basically is measured the area inside of the film strip here and gone just a little bit bigger, and I'm actually going to lay the die of the film strip right on there so I know they're exactly the right size to pop back into the film strip. So I'll be doing that in just a minute. But I wanted to show you, I have to of course incorporate some of my dies and stamps in the actual layout, and so I am going to stamp a little label here, and I have just a piece of this, you know, just kind of mottled looking off-white tan cardstock, And my idea is that I want to use my Layered Labels stamp set, which goes with the Layered Labels die set. And I like to always stamp first and then die cut after. And I know that I'm going to use this set right here. So basically, this is what the die looks like. It's sort of a bracket shape, and there's 2 stamps and 2 dies, and they kind of nest together. So you have to kind of visualize that these will go together like this. But you can also stamp these little stitched lines on each one. So that's what I want to do. I want to grab the little one to stamp here. And I'm not going to stamp the big one because the background one is going to be black and it wouldn't show up unless I like embossed it or something. But you can definitely do that, and I'll show you an example. Like in this case right here, there's the larger label, and this is the label I'm about to use, okay? It's stamped on the outside with the stitch line, it's stamped on the inside one with the stitch line, and then of course stamped with the sentiment, and that is another stamp, and this little divider kind of flourish here. Okay, it's not totally necessary to use a stamp platform, but that's what I'm going to use today. And I'm just going to stamp this outline stitchy thing with some basic black ink. And I just do a very light tap because I don't want it to get all thick and globby. And I'm just going to give it a quick little tap, and it comes out quite nice. Okay, now I can lift this up because I'm done with that. I would do all my stamping first like this. So now I'm going to go to the stamp set, and I'm going to pick, like I already know, I've picked the sentiment, which I'll show you that set in a minute, Time to Celebrate, because it's my new release. And this one fits in there pretty nicely, but we have all these different little kind of decorative divider pieces, and some work and some don't in certain ones, so you just have to check it. Like this wouldn't work here because it's much too tall for this particular frame, but I know that this one will. So I'm going to lay that right on there while I have this in my MISTI, and I'm going to grab a different color ink for this part. Okay, we get that on there, and I'm going to use Warm Breeze from VersaFine Claire. Again, just a light little tapping of ink, and then a quick little tap here so it's nice and delicate, looking good. And then I've got my sentiment that I'll go back to the black for that stamping. This is where the stamp platform, no matter what kind you have, is really handy. All right, little tap of ink again, little tap, quick tap. Looks pretty good. I see that the bottom of the word celebrate is a little bit light, so I think I might just hit that again. But still, I'm not going to press hard. I'm just going to tap it again, and now it's perfect. Now I'm ready to die cut the label. I've got my Anna Griffin Mini, Empress Mini here. It's right here always on my working table. I've got my bigger die cut machine back there behind me at my cutting station. But I'm basically going to take the die and a little bit of this mint tape, which is just removable tape really, and just so I don't waste a whole bunch, I will tape this. And I only tape it because the Empress Mini suggests that you cut with your die on the mat, so facing up. So just to make sure it's in the right place, I tape it down. Came out perfect, looks so nice. And then I've die cut the larger nested label size in black, all ready to go there. Set with all the sentiments on it is called the All Occasion Greeting Set, and it has a ton of words, as you can see. For every occasion ever, it will meet all your stamping or planner making needs. It doesn't matter at all. So I'm going to put that aside for now because I don't know if I want to double it up or anything like that. And I do have some other things here planned. Just so you can see how I'm going to do this, I'm going to take my photos over to, I think I'll go do this at the Vagabond behind me. I am going to lay the die right over the photos. So I have cut them apart. You know, I didn't want them all close together because I'm not going to use this whole die. I'm just going to use one frame right there. They should all be the same size, so I don't have to worry about that. So let me go get those cut out. Okay, and I will tell you that if you run it through just one time, at least on my photo paper, It does not want to cut all the way through. It does almost, see? Almost all the way through. You might have to help it out a little bit. But I found when I ran it through forwards then backwards, it cut out all the way through. So just know that. And so let's just check these out and see, are they going to fit? And of course they are, because we use the die, so there should be no question whether they'll fit or not. So I am going to pop these all in here, just like so. And I'll be very strategic which ones go where, because I'm not sure, like I said, I'm not sure I really plan on this moving in the end. So some of these will get a little bit covered up, as you'll see. By the way, I think this would be a really cute idea for a birthday card, whether you use the slider or not. I mean, that's kind of cool. But, you know, to do like a film strip deal of little selfie pictures like those photo machines, you know, just kind of put pictures of you and your best friend in there. And you could even have it move like this. I think that would be super fun. So I wanted to show you some other things that I had prepared and ready and the ideas that I was having for the page. I wanted to have a little banner going across the top. So although the banner itself is not new, it is a stamp set from my first release, Bloom stamp set. I did add the actual die cut into the Layered Labels die set. So this little banner right here goes with that stamp set. Again, I would stamp first, die cut after. I've tried it both ways. That's what works for me, but you can definitely do what works for you best. And then I was thinking my little film strip would come in about right about there. Of course, we've got to have our 34 for the week. And I've kind of picked this tealy blue color as an accent, and you might recognize this paper. You may not. It's very new from Musette. And this is from the Brights collection. So that's this one. You can use both sides, of course, which you'll see I did do. I did it here in the banner and on my little owl coming up. So I'm thinking 34 is going to go here and maybe stay in the black like that. Not sure. Not 100% sure. We've got our Time to Celebrate, which will probably go up here toward the top and probably overlap a little bit, of course. And then, of course, my photos will go in there, and our little black circle will go back here. And then the owl. So the owl comes from one of my new releases, the Fall Wreath and Owl set, and has the wonderful big wreath in here that I showed all kinds of examples with from the design team on that Facebook Live that's saved. Again, it's linked below if you want to go check that out. But there's this wonderful layered owl. So we are going to build him, and my plan is that he's going to be blue and black. Why not? Just to go with everything. And who says it has to be super true and accurate to real life, right? So I've started to cut the layers and the pieces, and we'll talk about these because you do have several options when you're doing the owl. And he's got his little branch there. So let me grab some samples to show you what I'm talking about. Just some fun examples. Here we have a purple owl that has pretty much the same kind of layering as what I'm going to use. And then we have more of a traditional, probably truer to the colors of an actual owl. This one here has been a little more simplified. And then there's one in this little book, which is a sneak peek for those going to the retreat in Canada, a little more traditional as well. So you can see that you could eliminate this layer altogether. If you didn't want to have that little detail cut out of his tail, you could just work with this, color it however you want, and then layer on his little chest. Of course, I'm working black on black, so it's hard to see. So, but you could do what you want right here with just these two pieces and make the owl, and then add his little face. Or you could keep on layering and do this kind of treatment like I'm going to do with his little chest part, and then onto the black. So we can see that black through that little decorative opening. I'm going to do this pretty blue color. And then this, of course, will get layered on here and we'll add his little face. So that's what I'm going to do today. Not 100% sure where he's going to go just yet. I do have his little branch and some leaves we're going to add. I think he might go down there. I don't know yet because I still have my 3 stamp sets that I want to fan out and work into the layout. I also die cut some hole reinforcements. Now these are little like maple leaves, and these come from the reinforcement variety pack number 2 with all these great options in here this time. I use that one a lot. So I'm thinking those are my hole reinforcements. So that's sort of another little accent color, that olive green. And from the owl set, there's this beautiful little leafy die that I might work in here and there. I also have the little leaves that go on the branches that I've die cut in that same olive green color. So just sort of tweaking it and thinking about where things will go. But I think I really need to get these guys cut out and see how they're going to work before I make any solid decision. I think I like them kind of fanning out there, but I don't want to put like a photo mat behind them necessarily because it'll just take up too much room. So I grabbed my StazOn black ink and a fresh dauber because this is glossy photo paper, and I don't think that anything else I use to ink it is really going to stick and stay. So I'm just going to help this to stand out a little bit and ink these edges and let this sit to dry while I work on my layout. You just have to be careful because it is kind of creamy and thick, but I'm just doing a very light touch so it has a little bit of an outline to it, but not a literal photo mat. I think we'll get in nice and close as I build the owl, just so you can kind of see how super easy it is and how fun. And while I do this, we can talk about some more about my new release. I want to show you everything toward the end of the video. Just a quick little recap of all the items in this release, and then I wanted to tell you now about how I am going to be on Create and Craft TV, which is based out of the UK, next Sunday. So a week from today, which would be September the 3rd. And I will verify and make sure and give a link and everything, but I'm pretty sure I'm going live 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock my time, so Eastern Standard Time. So you just have to go to the Create and Craft website and look at their schedule and then look at your time zone to figure out if you want to watch it. I am going to talk about the whole release again, but I am going to demo at least 2, 3, or 4 different projects or little things with my new release that nobody has seen yet because I haven't even created them yet. That's what I'll be doing this week. I'll be getting ready for that. Okay, so you saw I layered those together, and then this guy goes right on top, and there's a little trick to lining him up where he needs to go because it might be questionable. You can always look at the packaging, of course, but there is a little trick. If you can see this up close, there's a tiny little indentation right before his tail starts, and that's where this little bump is supposed to lay. Okay, so you just have to make sure when you're doing that that you're watching up here and make sure you get his face there, and then the rest of his little chest should come down and meet this other side of his tail, just like that. Okay, and then we just have to put on his face. I don't know if you can see all these little bits laying over here, but I have die cut all his little pieces, even his little feet, all from black. And this is where the Elizabeth Craft Designs fine pointed tweezers are your friend. You can do this on double-sided adhesive, but man, they're just small pieces, so small that it's hard to even peel off that double-sided adhesive backing. So this is super easy too, knowing where this goes, because it just goes right next to, like right into that area right there. So that's like an eyebrow, I suppose. This, I think, would be like the horned something owl. You guys can tell me, I'm not sure. But these two meet together, And yes, in hindsight, I really could have made this one connected die, but you know, there he goes. There's his little eyebrows. And then we have these three pieces that look very similar. However, two are more of like an oblong oval, and then one is more of a pointed shape. And this would be his little beak, let's say. So I'm going to put that first so I know where the eyes go. And the beak basically goes right there below. It's like I've had coffee, but I really haven't in quite some time, earlier this morning. So there's his little beak. And then his eyes will go on each side of his little beak, of course. Okay. And the eyes are just, you know, oblong, so there's no right or wrong way. Super cute. Black and blue. Okay, and I think I'll wait on his feet and the branch because the feet I intended for them to come over whatever the owl is sitting on. If he's not sitting on anything and you just want him floating, you can put his feet on right now, but I'm gonna wait. Okay, I started a couple of things so you didn't have to watch me painstakingly glue. I've got my photos all glued in here, got my owl together, I glued my label together, and I put my whole reinforcements down on the page. So what I'm thinking is, and I've got the word new up there, and I already started one of the banners, and again I want it to say new release, and I'm thinking this is gonna work out nicely like this, so I went ahead and snipped this off because I don't really need that. So I'll get this on now. And here's one of those learning lessons where I make the mistake for you so you don't have to. I did not plan out the proper amount of room I needed for the word release. So as you can see, my page has been kind of torn up a little bit, but we're going to make it work. So I had to extend this little second banner that I made a little bit. So it's a little bit longer to get the word release on here. So let me finish getting my letters and I'll give you a look at it. And I was going to add the exclamation point here, but it didn't quite cover up this little boo-boo over here. So I'm going to use one of these leaves, and that's just going to be our little secret. I'm going to have that coming in off the edge there. All right, so before I get too far, I want to show you what I've been doing here. I really kind of want to make sure that this mechanism actually will slide, like we can do that, okay? And what I had in mind was to move this down here and have my owl here and still have the stamps up there. And so in order for this to move, which surprisingly, it moves very nicely right now, but so that if somebody were to pull on it so it doesn't completely fly out of here, I did adhere some chipboard there. I had only thin chipboard, so I had to double it up, but I put like a little stopper strip at the top and the bottom, so either way that you pull it, it won't pull all the way out. And then again, I want to get this on this black circle, so I'm only going to be able to put adhesive on the sides here. So I'll do that really quick, actually, because as I was going to put glue, I was thinking, oh no, I can put glue on this whole portion here because the slider is sliding in front, not back here. So we just want to make sure nothing squeaks out onto our film strip, so we don't want to put too much glue. And just get that on there until that's really, really dry. So I'll set that aside. And also what I want to do is I feel like it's going to need something to pull on if you want to actually try to, you know, make that work. So I cut out some black grosgrain ribbon, just your basic ribbon, and I cut a little loop and I glued it together using some fabric glue. And I want to glue just a little tiny piece sticking out at the top and a little tiny piece sticking out at the bottom. I don't know how many people are going to want to pull this in and out, but you know, just in case they do, I don't want them tearing up my page. So I'm going to see if that works. So I put some clips on that just to hold for a few minutes, and I have eliminated this because it's just not going to work. It's too big. So I just did the whole drop shadow thing with some blue and some black. I'm not going to glue those down until I get my film strip in there, but I can kind of work on the owl over here. And this guy, we'll get this down because we can. And I know that I want my little branch from my owl to go off the page. So I've got the branch way off to the right over here, and we can put his little feet on now. There we go. Cute. So I guess I can get him on there now because he's finished and ready. Okay, and I can get this on here now, but I want to lay this here just to be sure. Just fan those out like that. So obviously I glued those together first, and then this, I'm feeling like this is going to have to pop up as well. So the circle that I cut was a 2-inch circle, so I'm going to cut several more and really get that popped up a little higher. 2-inch punch. It's just a EK Success, or EK, I don't know if they're Success anymore. So I'm going to try just adding 2 more and see how it is, but I did cut 3 more just to check it and be ready if I need 1 more. Take your time and line these up really well. Okay. This is pretty thick cardstock. This is like 100-pound. So if you were using like a 65-pound, you'd probably want to do at least 3 or 4. But this stuff's pretty thick. So I'm feeling like maybe just those 2 more might just raise it up enough. Let's see. It's hard to test it. Oh, I think that's going to work great. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to commit right now. Lots of good strong glue. Because this might get a lot of action. You just don't know. So I'm going to put it up there. Make sure it's straight. Am I even in the camera? I hope so. I'm so into what I'm doing. This is actually quite fun. I didn't think it was going to work, but I think I'm pretty happy with that. So while that just kind of sits, I think I'll put my punch on there to hold that. I'm going to get my 34 on here. And then if you want to stick around, because I'm just about done here, I will show you very quickly, a very quick condensed version of showing my whole new release. One more time. I do have some more of this greenery over here, and I forgot to put the little leaves on the owl's branch, so I'm going to do that as well. Okay. Okay, I am done. Look at that. And it moves. It works. It's so cute, right? I really think that's so fun. I'm going to leave it right there in the middle, just like that. Get it back into my planner. Wow. Fun, fun, fun. Okay, I hope you like that. So I'm going to show you real quick my new release. And again, I will link to the Facebook Live where I really go into a lot of detail and show you a lot of samples and everything. If you watched last week, you saw a little sneak peek of mushrooms there on the page. So this set is called Mushrooms and Ferns. This is a die set, and this is sort of like a little sampling. And this is what appears on the packaging when you purchase. So you'll identify that right away. We've got chanterelles, we've got that inky cap, not inky cap, that's the fly agaric. I don't know what these are. I'm going to call that a bolete, but I don't know. Ferns, super fun. So there's another version, just colored a little bit differently. Then we have Festive Harvest, which is another die set. Layered pumpkins, sunflowers. I've done this all in watercolor here. We've got our little wheat shafts and acorns and leaves, and we think this is rose hips. I'm not quite sure. So colored a little differently again. And there's all kinds of different things you can do. You can leave out this layer here and just watercolor, all kinds of things. And then of course here's our fall wreath and layered owl. So you saw me put together the owl, but there's the wreath a couple different ways. Like I said, those samples that I show all kinds of different things with the wreath. So that one is fun. The layered labels, which you now know all about. This one is a die cut that goes with a stamp set on the layered labels. In fact, if you buy this one, you really need to buy the stamp set that coordinates with it. They really do go together very nicely. And you can see, you can do this without that stamp. Just color it in any way that you like. And then we have Everyday Words 2. I had an Everyday Words 1 set, the first release, and this is 2 with just a few more fun words to it. You always get the actual word and then the shadow behind it. And then last in the dies is Joy and Merry. And just like it says, Merry Christmas. We got the drop shadow here. We've got a little Santa hat, holly, deer, joy, different ways that you can do joy that I talked about. We have some music notes there. Super duper fun. And then, of course, the stamp set that I mentioned, layered labels. There's that pretty decorative corner that you stamp on those die cut corners that I just showed you, little dividers for the words. And the all occasion greeting stamp set that I showed you has all those words. And then you didn't get to see this at all here today, but the festive season stamp set. Super, super fun. There's all kinds of things you can do with this. Please go watch that Facebook Live or saved YouTube video. They're both saved on Elizabeth Craft Designs, and I will link both below. So that is it for me today. Week 34 is done. Super happy with that fun interactive page. I hope you liked everything, and I will see you very soon. Take care.